He smiled, switched languages, and said something he thought she would never understand. The black waitress froze for half a second. Not because she was confused, but because she heard every word. The restaurant was quiet in that expensive, uncomfortable way, the kind where forks barely touched plates, and everyone spoke softly, like money itself was listening. He sat near the window, tailored suit, silver watch, calm confidence. The kind of man who never raised his voice, because he never had to. Everyone knew who he was, a billionaire. And when he lifted his hand, the manager rushed over before the waitress even reached the table. But she did, a young black waitress. Simple uniform, hair neatly tied, eyes focused on her job, not the room. "Good evening, sir," she said politely, placing the menu down. He didn't look at her. Instead, he looked at the man across from him and smiled. Slow, deliberate, then suddenly switched to a foreign language. His tone dropped. His words sharpened. A quiet laugh followed. The man across from him chuckled. The waitress stood still, holding the water glass, waiting. The billionaire continued speaking, casually, comfortably, saying things he assumed would pass right over her. A few nearby guests glanced up. One woman frowned, another man smirked. The manager noticed, but said nothing. Because the billionaire was paying tonight, the waitress finally placed the glass down. Her hand didn't shake. Her face didn't change, but something in her eyes shifted. Not anger, not fear. Recognition. If you think she understood him, comment "wait" right now. If you think she didn't, comment "no way." The billionaire paused and looked at her for the first time. Just a glance, as if checking whether the joke had landed. "Anything else?" he asked, back in English now. Smooth, polite, almost kind. She nodded. "Yes, sir," she replied calmly. And for a second, the table conversation stopped. Because her accent, the way she spoke, didn't match what he expected. Not at all. The man across from him leaned back, suddenly quiet. The billionaire narrowed his eyes. Interesting. She turned to leave, but before she could take 2 steps, he spoke again, once more in that same foreign language. Slower this time. Deliberate. Almost cruel. The manager looked over, this time clearly uncomfortable. The waitress stopped. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. She turned back, slowly, and smiled, just slightly, enough to make the billionaire's smile fade. If you're watching this till now, like the video. Because what happens next is the reason this story exists. She looked directly at him, and said something so calm, so perfectly timed, that the table went silent. Not shocked, not loud, just still. The billionaire didn't laugh this time. He stared at her, trying to understand when the balance of power had shifted. And he didn't even realize yet. It already had. Subscribe so you don't miss part 2. Because the restaurant staff, the manager, and even the billionaire himself are about to realize who she really is, and why switching languages was his biggest mistake tonight. The silence didn't break immediately. That was the strange part. In a room full of wealth, noise usually rushed in to cover discomfort. But this time no one spoke. The billionaire stared at the waitress, his confident posture stiffening just a little. "What did you say?" he asked in English. She didn't repeat herself. Instead, she switched back into the same foreign language he had used. Not slowly, not carefully, but flawlessly. Her pronunciation was precise, her tone calm, her words exact. The man across from the billionaire froze. The smile vanished from his face. A woman at the next table lowered her fork. The manager's eyes widened. The waitress finished the sentence, then added one more line, quietly, in that same language. A line that wasn't rude, a line that wasn't loud, a line that corrected him. The billionaire blinked once, then laughed. A short laugh, forced. The kind people use when they're losing control, but don't want anyone to notice. "I didn't know you spoke that language," he said, waving his hand casually. "Impressive." She nodded. "My mother taught me," she replied. "She was born there." The billionaire leaned back. "Well," he said, switching tones, "you must hear many things you're not meant to understand in a place like this." She smiled again. "Yes, sir," she said. "I do." The manager stepped closer now, suddenly very attentive. If you're enjoying this moment, like the video, because this is where the story turns. The billionaire glanced around. He noticed the looks, the stillness. Something about the room had changed. "You can go," he said dismissively. She didn't move. Instead, she placed the receipt folder on the table. Then she said something else, this time in perfect English. "You asked your friend if I was educated enough to know my place," she said calmly. "And whether people like me should be allowed near clients like you." No anger, no raised voice, just facts. The billionaire's jaw tightened. The man across from him avoided eye contact. A few guests openly stared now. If you think the billionaire deserves what's coming, comment, "He messed up." If you think he still has control, comment, not yet. The billionaire cleared his throat. That was a private conversation, he said. She nodded again. Yes, sir, she replied. That's what you thought. The manager swallowed hard. The waitress continued, still calm. You also said, she added, that people who serve don't understand what power sounds like. She paused. But power, she said softly, doesn't need to be translated. The billionaire stood up slowly. Not angry, not shouting, but exposed. For the first time that night, he didn't look like the richest man in the room. He looked like someone who had misjudged the wrong person. If you're still watching, subscribe now, because what happens next doesn't involve shouting. It involves consequences. The waitress finally turned to leave. But before she did, she added one last thing. You should enjoy your meal, she said politely. It's paid for. The billionaire frowned. What do you mean? He asked. She met his eyes. The owner insisted, she replied. He's been watching. The billionaire froze. And slowly, he looked toward the office upstairs, where a light had just turned on.